I looking for? Oh, let's turn this off. All right. So Ken, your question is it possible to create different parts and assemble them into a song like on an Alesis sequencer old school drum machine? Yeah. I mean, what that, man, the Alesis MMT8 is where my journey began. So for a sequencing anyway, because my father had the Alesis. So I used to play on that all the time. You know, coming from an 8-track sequencer to an unlimited track sequencer is a big difference. I mean, this is, Cakewalk is the exact same, man. It's just a huge sequencer. It just allows you to do audio and MIDI tracks. So, I mean, if you was thinking simply recording that way, the way we used to do it is we had, what do we use? We had the Korg M1, the original M1, Korg M1, and then we just MIDI that in to the sequencer. And basically, you know, it's kind of like TTS for the most part, or it doesn't have to be TTS, but any type of audio plug-in. I don't want to say audio plug-in, instrument plug-in, a virtual instrument. That's what I meant to say. So it's kind of like that. Basically, you just set your channels, like channel 1, channel 1's piano, channel 2 is normally bass, channel 3 is normally strings, drums are normally channel 10, sometimes channel 11, and you put them all in that order, and then basically you can have, I mean, if you want to do 8 tracks like that, you could have 8 tracks and then, you know, record the piano part and then boom, go to the second part. But they can all be feeding from one instrument, kind of like, you know, Contact can do it that way. Or like I said, TTS is still, you know, outdated, but I still like the TTS. I mean, as long as it's working right. Sometimes it works crazy because it is outdated. Then you can use a TTS and you can set each track to a different channel and you could just go down the line, record your piano part, boom, record your guitar. This is a lot easier now because on software like this, it's easy to copy and paste. On the MMT8, I don't even remember. Like, I feel like, well, no, I think you could copy and paste on it, I think. I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. I think my dad still has it, or maybe he doesn't have it anymore. I know we lost a lot of equipment, you know, in a flood a long time ago here in St. Louis. But yeah, I mean, this, if you not familiar, I mean, Cakewalk or any type of software should allow you to just simply get in there and, you know, record it via your keyboard, your electric drum set, whichever, and just recording the parts. I just did this for this particular video that we were looking at now. I did it like this because I was trying to just do a different way, you know, like trying to put messages into MIDI notation or MIDI data. This is really what this is, MIDI data. So hopefully they answer your question, Ken. I know I can pull up Cakewalk. Do you put patterns in a folder? Well, you know what? Cakewalk actually has patterns. Let's pull up Cakewalk real quick. Let's minimize this. So Cakewalk does actually have patterns that comes with it. So you can use the patterns in there, and I have videos that talk about that using the MIDI patterns. Gotta get some more space eventually. Let's see. Let's just create a new project. So should I leave this like this or should I put it like this? Let's put it like this. I kind of like it being zoomed in a little bit more. All right. So you have patterns that are over here. This is called the browser that's to the right. And right now it's set on audio effects, but I can click on each one. If you go to media, click on it, and you use the move up one level. I don't know if you all can see this or not. I've been using that magnifying thing, but some reason sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it makes it, if it agitates people that watch it, because sometimes it agitates me when I'm using it, but I'm not going to use it this time. So once you move up one level, you got Cakewalk content. And then under Cakewalk content, you have a MIDI library. And in here, you have, like, you know, bass loops. You have, go back up. Smart loops. I like the smart loops. I've used that in some videos. These are like different drum patterns, stuff like that. So, and these basically play off right off of, you know, just straight MIDI. Right now I don't have any instruments, but okay, so I thought you would be able to hear it, but let's apply an instrument to it so you can hear it. Create an audio track. If you ever wanted to know it was simple, man. It was simple, but you know what? It was simple because there was only so much you can do within that one device. But now when you get, you know, Cakewalk, Logic, Pro Tools, whatever you're using, now you got a whole bunch of tools. And to be honest, you don't really have to use any of the other stuff in here. Like you can get in here and just say, I just want to sequence and deal with MIDI. And that can, you know, that can be it. But yeah, when you want to get in here and create a whole song and stuff, because what I had to do is we had to take the MMT8 and then I would have to feed that. This is before we had a computer. So we didn't have, well, we had computers, but I had an IBM, you know, 5 1/4 floppy disk. So you couldn't do no audio tracks on that like that anyway. It barely had enough space to do anything. So we would have to feed it in the outputs of the MMTA. Audio outputs. We'd have to feed it into a Tascam. So we had a Tascam. I can't remember the exact models, but we had a 4-track Tascam, and then we got the 8-track Tascam. And the 4-track, like I remember recording that with that cassette tape. That was fire. When we got the 8-track, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I can record multiple tracks. So, you know, and be able to do some things. So we would put that in so I can have that signal go to maybe track 8 or something like that, and that would be my music. And then I can use the rest of the tracks if I wanted to put like a live bass, or if I wanted to put some live percussion, or put vocals on. So it was simple because you were limited. So the limited you are with something, you get used to being limited, and then you can do it. But now when you got, here, I mean, even Cakewalk is limited. There's some things you can't do in here, like the video feature. I made a video about the video feature, but it's, you know, it's okay, but it's not the best for us. Like if you're trying to get into doing film scoring or anything like that, you can get it done here, but there are better softwares for that. And I hope it was one thing that they was going to consider for Cakewalk Sonar. But yeah, SMT8 track, yeah. So, but yeah. So anyway, I got this MIDI groove. Now, if you had a MIDI track like this and created a MIDI track, but you don't hear any sound, normally it should be set to your Microsoft or whatever, what's the name? But I normally like to use the instruments. So in order to do that, I have to actually create an audio track. And then I'm going to show you, like with the audio track, once you add the sound to it, then you can combine the two tracks to make them an instrument track. Okay. So insert soft synth, and I got a feeling that, boy, if I pull up TTS and it don't work, I'm gonna be mad. Hold on, is TTS on here? I'm like, shoot, what happened to it? Okay, there it is. Let's see if it works. Now, some people say it don't work anymore. Somebody was telling me about that, or maybe they couldn't find it. It still works, I guess. So now I press play. Now I know I'm getting a signal now here, but something's. Oh, you know what? I know I'm not getting no sound. My bad. On my Zoom, that's perfect. So I was playing these sound pads that come with it, and I switched over. That's what it was. So on this Zoom Live Track L8, I have my Cakewalk coming out of a different channel, and then I have my, desktop, sound coming out of a different channel too as well. So track 8 was the Cakewalk, but it was supposed to be set on USB 3.4, so that's why I'm wondering I wasn't hearing anything. But okay, so now I'm hearing something. Okay, so and then I know, that's what that is, but that was supposed to be drums, but it can be piano, or I can switch it to drums. Preset. Chromatic percussion, drum set, standard. Let's see if it actually plays on this. Okay, so yeah, so that's a fill. So like I can go about recording something and put that fill in there, and then I can go about doing that. So I mean that's one way where I would go about setting up these tracks. Now to make this one track, because sometimes you really don't feel like looking at two tracks like this. So this is the audio. I mean this is the MIDI track 1, and this is the audio track 2. So you can control click them, and once they're highlighted, there's a part that says make instrument track, right? And then it'll just make it one instrument track. So now you know that an instrument track is really just an audio track and a MIDI track combined, right? But like I said, you don't have to do the instrument tracks. You just want to do MIDI. That's great. MIDI is just perfectly fine. If you say, hey, I don't really want to use the sounds in Cakewalk, but I want to use the sounds that's in my Alesis keyboard or my Yamaha, motif or whichever. So then you can just, in your interface, whatever interface you use. Now, this particular interface, the Zoom doesn't have MIDI, but the Focusrite has MIDI. My Behringer X18 has MIDI in, MIDI out, so I can always MIDI it back to, my keyboard. Not this keyboard uses USB. So this one, I can just plug a USB cable and do it that way too as well. So, Ken, I hope I answered your questions. I know I gave you like 30 minutes on a 2-minute question.